When you reach a certain level of wealth, you start to feel like nothing can touch you. You spit sunshine and crap gold. At least that's been my experience. Can't imagine any of you can relate. But please allow me to explain how it feels when there's 3 commas in your bank balance. I know time is money, but don't worry, I'm good for it. Or at least I thought I was, before that night. Point is, the more money you get, the higher you climb that golden ladder, the stronger the feeling of security gets. Money can't buy happiness, or so the saying goes, but trust me when I say that it can buy everything else. And that's pretty close. That's right. I'm one of the dreaded 1%. A straight-up billionaire, baby. Don't get me wrong, I'm not some guy who was born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I worked hard. I was lucky, of course, and I had some help from my parents, but who didn't get a little help from their families while growing up? After my dad helped me get into an Ivy League school and gave me a $20 million loan as a graduation present, I was completely on my own. I scraped and I saved and I turned that loan into the biggest tech conglomerate in the entire world. After I made my first $100 million, I stopped worrying about being successful enough, driven enough, good enough. After my first $1 billion, I felt like I could do anything. And honestly, I could. The money stopped feeling real, stopped being anything except a number ticking ever upward, and signifying that I would never run out of points in the game of life. I'd won. I purchased myself a rocket with a velvet interior for luxury space travel. I filled a room in my house with vintage guitars that had all previously been touched by members of the Beatles just because I could. I moved into a cottage in Tuscany, a house in Martha's Vineyard, a beach house in Hawaii, my Los Angeles mansion, and my favorite, a villa in the south of France. That's not all of them, of course, but those are my top 5. If you ever get the chance to have a house on every continent, I highly recommend it. Just kidding, I know most people won't get the chance. But maybe if you're lucky, you'll get an invitation to one of my legendary parties. If you're luckier than lucky, you'll find yourself with an invitation to my annual costume party. It is an incredible spectacle every year, and this year was no exception. Picture it. Me, my beautiful wife, an international supermodel, thank you very much, and a few hundred of our closest friends gathered at my house nestled right up against the French Riviera. The theme was Masquerade Ball, and the dress code was strict. No one would be admitted without a mask or attire elegant enough for the party. Inside, what greeted them was nothing short of absolute opulence. I instructed my party planner to spare no expense. The ballroom was outfitted with a massive Swarovski chandelier, thousands of candles lighting the room, flames sparkling in the crystal and filling the room with warm light. In the corner, a string quartet borrowed from the National Opera of Paris played next to one of the 6, count them, 6, champagne fountains. I commissioned a portrait of me and my wife dressed to the nines and wearing our masks, and hung it in the entryway to greet my guests. In the dining room, guests could sit down to a feast fit for Louis XIV. Complete with 30 courses including pheasant, pâté, poached pears, whole roasted boar, and other dishes inspired by the Palace of Versailles. For partygoers with more modern palates, the molecular gastronomy room was open with a chef on site to serve flavored foams and vaporized cocktails. Or those who wanted to stick to the ballroom could enjoy the passed-around hors d'oeuvres. But really, why choose? If they wanted, they could have a bit of everything, or a lot of it. Money was truly no object. The party was going great. I was wearing my favorite suit, which cost more than most people spend on a house, and a custom-designed mask made from hundreds of black and white diamonds, with a few red diamonds thrown in for a pop of color. And because they're the rarest variety of diamond in the world, the more you know, right? My guests had all arrived, and guards were stationed at all entrances to make sure no party crashers tried to make their way inside and take advantage of my hospitality and generosity. So imagine my surprise when, long after the guest list had been completely checked off, a mysterious figure swept in and interrupted everything. My wife elbowed me in the side as I was helping myself to some beluga caviar. "Who is that?" she hissed to me, tilting her head towards the doorway at the other end of the ballroom. I turned, expecting to see a foreign dignitary or an oil baron she had forgotten the name of, but instead I saw something much more bizarre. There, standing like a shadow in the room full of silk and gold, was a person dressed in thick black robes. They were wearing a mask, but it was unsettling to look at. Intense dark eyes peered out of the pale ceramic that tapered into a long, pointed beak. I dimly remember drawings of medieval doctors wearing masks like those as the Black Plague decimated Europe. This was just some edgy party crasher looking for attention. I knew that, but looking at them, a chill ran up my spine. How did he get in? I shook my head, motioning to one of the security guards stationed near the entrance. "Do your job, fellas, come on." Rob, my beefiest guard, got the signal and approached the crasher. I took a sip of my drink, eager to watch this wannabe cool guy get booted from my world. He watched Rob come closer as he stood completely still, little black eyes unblinking. What was this guy's deal? He reached out one black-gloved hand and touched Rob's throat with one finger. As soon as the stranger touched his skin, Rob dropped to the ground unmoving. He was all the way on the other side of the room, but somehow I just knew he was dead. As soon as Rob fell, the party came to a screeching halt. My wife screamed and tugged on my arm, but I couldn't take a step. I just watched frozen in place as the stranger in the plague doctor mask pulled a syringe from a pocket in his robes and injected something thick and black into Rob's corpse. What had just been a mound of dead flesh began to thrash around, hands grasping at nothing, legs kicking, and something that looked like Rob, but was definitely not him, climbed to its feet. It had his face, his body, but its eyes were hollow and dead. There was no light behind them. They were just flat. The thing that once was Rob began to shuffle into the room, the stranger trailing behind it. As he walked, he touched guests with his gloved hands. Like Rob, they dropped to the ground, dead at a single touch. Guests began to scatter in every direction, running for their lives. Still, I couldn't get myself to move. A dozen people were dead on the floor, then 2 dozen, then 3. As he walked, the stranger injected them with more of the strange liquid, and the dead guests shambled to their feet or dragged themselves along the floor with stiff, pale fingers. The shuffling corpses that were once my friends grabbed guests near them with inhuman strength as they tried to run away, dragging them toward the horrible doctor so he could kill and transform them too. I had to make a break for it. I had to get out of there, but my legs wouldn't listen to me. Fear and morbid curiosity froze me to the spot. There had to be at least 50 zombies by now, and the doctor just kept going. He was getting closer and closer to me, hand outstretched and ready to deliver its deadly touch. I unstuck my tongue from the roof of my mouth, swallowed and spoke. "Why are you doing this?" The doctor paused, tilting his head to the side and thought. "This home is overrun with the pestilence. It is my duty to contain its spread and treat the infected." He spoke formally, in a voice that reverberated from inside the mask with a metallic edge. "They must be cured." I had to think fast. I could talk my way out of this. I've sold companies, made mergers, avoided paying taxes my whole life. Now I just had to negotiate for my own life. My friends might be gone, but I at least could save myself. You're a doctor," I said. He seemed pleased at this. "I am a physician, yes," he said. "You're trying to help," I continued. "Yes, I see you too are a man of science." He had stopped coming closer. The zombies had stopped advancing on me. It was working. "I don't know if you're aware of this, but I am a very wealthy man, Doctor." I took a drink of my champagne, doing my best to appear casual, friendly even. "I'm sure you're in need of funding for your mission. Perhaps we could work together." "You wish to aid me in my mission?" the doctor asked. "I do," I lied. "I'm in great health, as you can see, but I don't want a pestilence spreading around and infecting me or my loved ones. I'd like to help you." I paused, searching for the right words. "I could be your patron." The doctor clapped his gloved hands together, and I could have sworn he smiled beneath his beaked visage. "Excellent! This is the most fortuitous meeting indeed. I am glad to have found you here, sir. If you would come with me, we may begin our work." He turned and swept out of the room, gesturing for me to follow. I looked around for an exit route, a way to make a break for it, but there were too many corpses ready to grab me with inhuman strength and drag me to certain death. The room was filled with them, shuffling about in their torn formal wear, slackened jaws hanging loose and hollow eyes watching me. I had no choice but to follow this guy and just wait for my opportunity to get away. I don't know how long we walked down the narrow town streets in the dark. Every time we passed an alley I thought I could duck down, the doctor got closer to me with his deadly hands, or a group of zombies encircled me. I was outside. I should have been home free, but there was nowhere to run. Eventually, the doctor stopped in front of an abandoned, dilapidated house. The paint was peeling off the walls, and there was a hole that rotted through the ceiling. "Welcome, sir, to my laboratory." He made a grand sweeping gesture, inviting me to walk through the door. I obeyed, crossing the threshold. The smell of rot and dried blood hit me so hard that I thought I might throw up. The house was dark. I had to squint to see, but I could make out scattered piles of body parts, animal and human. There was a table covered with surgical equipment, and next to it, a black leather doctor's bag. There were people in here too, or they used to be people. They were silent zombies, like the others. Some stood along the walls at silent attention, others were lying on the ground hooked up to IVs full of strange liquid, or strapped to gurneys ready to be operated on. This looks great. My voice shook, but I hoped he wouldn't notice. With my funds, we can upgrade your lab, get you to a more high-tech facility, better lighting, more space, research assistants. Excellent. Together we will eradicate the pestilence once and for all. There. The doctor pointed at the medical table to my right. Grab a pair of gloves and slide them on. The doctor nodded as I squeezed my hands into a pair of rubber medical gloves. Absolutely. Can you show me more of what you're working on? Good thinking. When his back was turned, I would run out the door and get to safety. The doctor approached the table covered with tools and bent to pick up a scalpel. Now was my moment. I ran toward the door as fast as my legs would carry me. I collided with something hard and cold. It was Rob, my old bodyguard, doing what he did best, keeping the perimeter secure. Sir, where are you going? The doctor called. Are you trying to abandon our work? He paused for a moment, realizing what I had done. Did you deceive me? His voice turned cold, angry. No, I couldn't come up with a lie. Rob wrapped his arms around my chest, holding me in place as the doctor approached me with the scalpel in hand. You are not looking well, my friend. Perhaps you have fallen ill. Such a shame. I look forward to our collaboration. He drew the scalpel, stretching his hand out towards my neck. I thrashed around, arms flailing and grabbing at his mask with gloved hands. What did this monster look like underneath? Who was he? What was he? The mask did not budge, and I realized this was no mask. It was his face. Don't worry. His blade sliced into the side of my neck. I will make you well again. His pitch-black eyes twinkled as he set to work. Then, everything went dark. Now go check out SCP-049, the Plague Doctor Captured, and SCP-049, What Actually Is the Pestilence, the Plague Doctor Questions and Theories, for more stories of this not-so-good doctor.